Hello, I'm Kristen Lang, Senior Program Director of the Ceres Company Network and lead author of the Ceres Roadmap 2030. I want to welcome you and thank you all for joining us today for the virtual launch of this 10-year action plan for sustainable business leadership. In the early days of 2020, I sat like many of you in reflection of what had transpired over the last decade. So many events, both positive and negative, served to shape the current state of our economy, our planet, and our social fabric. It was a decade that saw Alaskan glaciers melting 100 times faster than previously predicted. It introduced the previously unfathomable idea that entire cities could run dry, facing day zero and the worst mega drought in the US in 1,200 years. It brought the number of men, women, and children caught in the clutches of modern slavery to more than 40 million worldwide. It laid bare the experience of women across the globe as colleagues, friends, and family members stepped forward with the courage to say, "Me too." It was also the decade that saw thousands of companies and investors declare, "We are still in the Paris Agreement." And after years of making the business case that climate change is a systemic financial risk, the largest asset owners and asset managers in the world, with 47 trillion under management, stepped forward to agree. This decade saw sustainably directed assets under management triple to more than 40 trillion globally, now representing $1 of every $4 invested. It was in those first few weeks of 2020 that I sat in reflection, not knowing that the months to come would eclipse every experience of the past 10 years, testing us as individuals, communities, colleagues, business leaders, nations, and as a human race in ways we could not even imagine. The pandemic has left millions without work, only to rely upon failing social safety nets. The climate crisis worsened. Wildfires from Australia to the northwestern US burned at rates among the most destructive ever seen. And the killings of Black Americans further ignited a nationwide movement here in the US calling for an end to systemic racism. The idea of building a more equitable, just, and sustainable economy shifted from an ideal to an imperative, and it has also inspired more action. Whereas at the end of 2019, only a handful of the largest companies in the US had targets to reduce greenhouse gas emissions in line with the latest science, in the last few months, we've seen the number of net zero commitments rise to more than 1,500 worldwide. Commitments are necessary. Yes, they put a proverbial line in the sand, creating accountability. And if taken seriously, they can unleash innovation. But without appropriate resources, without changes to the way that companies govern themselves, design future strategy, and determine business priorities, they will fall far short of what is needed. And without the right policies and capital market systems in place to enable wholesale action, we will not be able to avoid the worst impacts of these global sustainability threats. So what will it take for us to build a more equitable, just, and sustainable future? What will it take to move corporate commitments from words to results to industry-wide action? The Ceres Roadmap 2030 is a vision for sustainable business leadership and a 10-year action plan to help companies strategically navigate this new and rapidly changing business reality, helping them not just to survive, but to thrive. The Ceres Roadmap calls on companies to not only embed sustainability in how they do business, but to redefine the role of the corporation as advocates for changing the very institutions that shape corporate decision-making. It outlines the specific actions needed this decade to stabilize the climate, protect water and natural resources, and build a just and inclusive economy, laying out what those milestones look like from today to 2025 and on to 2030. Today's fireside chat between Mindy Luber, Ceres CEO and President, and James Quincy, Chairman and CEO of the Coca-Cola Company, will explore these action steps and how the leaders of the largest companies in the world can put them into motion. But before we turn to Mindy and James, we are pleased to share with you first a short video. We reached out to leading corporate executives, investors, and sustainability advocates to give their thoughts on the question that the Ceres Roadmap 2030 is designed to answer. What does sustainable business leadership look like in the decade ahead?
I believe sustainable leadership is about taking responsibility and being intentional about our role in the community. This past week, National Grid took a big step forward with the launch of our Responsible Business Charter for the first time ever. In it, we have said to the world loudly and clearly that we are about more than making money. For us, that's about playing a leadership role in the transition to a cleaner world and reducing the emissions not only from our own operations to net zero, but also the emissions from the electricity and gas we sell to our customers. It's about ensuring that as we do that, no one is left behind. So a just and inclusive transition.
Corporate sustainability is not going to look anything like it did in the past. Instead of trying to embed sustainability into corporations, we need to embed business and corporations into sustainability. There's no other way. Resources are finite. All the trends that I've spent 30 years working on are going in the wrong direction. It's still important for companies to be reporting and measuring greenhouse gas emissions and setting science-based targets. It's also equally important that they're reporting on their actions to lobby governments, not for their vested interests, but actually for the greater public good. Because we recognize that companies can't actually achieve sustainability on their own. We need regulators and governments to actually set rules and put a price on these massive externalities that are just missing from the profit and loss statement today.
Sustainable leadership is about steadily pursuing courses of action that build over time to serve stakeholders. It's about doing, not talking. And this requires putting your stakeholders at the forefront of all a company does. And for us, we think very comprehensively about stakeholders. So it's customers, consumers, employees, the agency force, opinion leaders, policymakers, and our investors. And by doing those things, we feel by focusing on our stakeholders, we will have sustainable leadership at our company.
Sustainable business leadership is leadership that builds resilience for the environment, for society, and for the business. We're striving to do this by advancing our work with suppliers and farmers to build greater natural resource resilience, with food security partners like Feeding America and Fair Share to build resilience amongst the most at-risk populations, and working in our own operations to make manufacturing more resilient to the ebbs and flows of consumer demands. We are treating the world with care by helping to regenerate the planet's natural resources. Threats to natural resource impact our business and our ability to feed a growing global population. To drive growth and resilience, we need to move beyond sustaining our planet and towards regenerating it.
Sustainability efforts in the coming decade must step up to a new level of commitment to reach the rapid decarbonization targets science tells us are necessary. We've seen corporate leadership, amazing leadership on investment, on voluntary action in their operations, in their supply chains. Now we need to see companies take their climate concern into the policy arena to make change at the scale that will address the magnitude of this problem. We need to see new momentum behind pro-climate policy, and corporate engagement can be a real game changer. 2020 needs to be the kickoff of a new decade of climate commitment, and Ceres has provided a great roadmap for this.
Companies are really going to need to step up, act boldly, act swiftly, to demonstrate how they're integrating sustainability into their business practices. We need to see how they're managing their climate impacts, their human capital risks, in a way that is just part and parcel of their DNA, so that we as investors can accurately assess and value the steps they're taking. At this moment in time where we're all grappling with persistent and pervasive racial inequality, on top of the gender equality that people have been working on for decades now, we're really needing to see that companies do more than just state their commitment. We're really looking to see action now. So for us, that is looking to see that companies have an actual understanding of what workforce composition looks like for them, what steps they are going to take to get from where they are now to where they need to be, and a really candid discussion on where those challenges are, where those barriers are, and the role that they have as an employer in helping address them both within the companies, but also in larger society.
This is the most momentous decade in human history. We have the choice to build a world that works for everyone, as Buckminster Fuller called on us to do, or to usher in the collapse of humanity. Problems like climate change, like the loss of biodiversity, inequality, are existential crises. They could end life as we know it on this planet. And we have all of the tools we need to create a world of flourishing, a world of thriving, a world that works for everyone. The Ceres Roadmap is such an important step in this direction. Ceres has always been the leader in the business community in showing us the direction that business needs to go in. Business remains the only institution on the planet that is big enough, well enough managed, resourceful enough to tackle the problems facing us.